Start with the small you have. Start with the small you have to find and get what you don't have. And so we are today looking at, we have started. If it is a shop, you have opened up. If it is a company, you have registered and everything, you have started. So now, what do you need to grow the business?
Welcome. We come to our second discussion, and I'm happy about this. And as we go to think at how do you grow a business? Many entrepreneurs find this as the hardest point of business because it is easy
to start.
Actually, surprisingly, in Uganda, many people start.
Exactly.
Actually, we have more businesses that start in a year, start in a day. But how many
last for 5 years?
Those that stay,
that make their 50th birthday anniversary.
As we come to this discussion, I will be trying to look at some of the things and my own experience in what I've tried to do. For instance,
to have
what has kept me in business? One of the first primary point is learn how to sell.
Learn how to sell what you brought in the market.
Yes. If you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you must have a selling point or a selling skill. One, either sell the idea to the people that you have, those you have recruited, because the entrepreneurs are at different levels. One is because if, for instance, I want to have my team complete or do something or fix a solution to a particular problem, I need to sell this to them. I need them to own it. I need them to learn how to do it. And by doing that is a skill to sell. If you look at most successful entrepreneurs, they have managed to sell their products. When Bill Gates is talking about Microsoft, you feel like the heaven has come today.
Okay.
If you look at companies that have really excelled, the CEOs have been ahead. Even look at the churches. Those churches that have managed to get the numbers
they want.
Followers. The government itself, they will.
Political parties.
Yes,
parties,
if you look, yes, you see the primary. If the people, actually, it is the primary core of every entrepreneur to succeed in business. You must have a selling point.
So one, you sell to your team to own what you're going to do, and then after you sell to the numbers, to the masses, you want to pick up your product or to use your service.
You see, in the beginning, at some point, you don't have these people. So in the beginning, you are the human resource.
You are the director.
You are the sales manager. Everything. That's why it becomes hard for you to start to be an entrepreneur. That's why it becomes more complex in the beginning. But as you grow, now we are looking at where you need to grow. That's when you are thinking of hiring a good HR. That's where you are thinking of hiring a good sales manager. That's when you are thinking of creating departments like the sales department, because now you are looking at the level of how to grow. Now, hiring smart people is another thing to look at.
One is having a skill to sell whatever you're selling. It might be a product, it might be a service, but having a skill to sell. Then let us look at that.
The second point that as an entrepreneur you need to understand is hiring smart people.
Smart people. Oh my God, where do we get smart people? Where do we get smart people?
The world is full of good people.
Okay.
But it takes a process to identify those real good people. If you look at I normally use some of the examples of the people that we have seen who have succeeded in most of the businesses. Perhaps they may not be all that professional in what they are dealing in. But the understanding of an entrepreneur, he looks at the problem and looks at where do I come in to provide a solution. I could think like Bill Gates may not be a computer wizard.
No, of course not.
But if you see, he has managed to create one of the biggest companies that has managed to beat the market, and at least exist for some period of time. Now, the point I'm trying to say, there's those people that can do that work, create they have you if you look at the side of smart people, they have the skill, they have the knowledge, they are committed to providing solutions, and all they are, that's what you are paying for. So if you also looking for a job, the question is, are you going to add value or volume? Because we have different employees,
Value
two
and
types.
volume.
There are those who are coming to add volume, and there are those who are coming to add
Value.
Now, my question here is, if you are also looking at this brand, maybe if you wanted to add yourself to IG Finance Services, are you coming to add yourself are you coming as a value or as volume?
Okay.
It's going to be discussed.
All right. Now, let us make it a bit real here. We are looking at people, for example, the youth that are starting, that are trying to figure out which business to do. And yes, they have started and they are trying to sell in the process. And maybe they don't have enough money to pay for these smart people. You know, smart people and employing people who are good, it will need money to pay them. And we are looking at a youth now.
There is what we call the Indian model of business. The Indian model is like, for them, they are looking at that shilling, the numbers. If he knows that if I'm selling this book and my profit is maybe 100, he will look at how this 100 and keeps it growing as a number. That how many books am I selling to get to get
1,000.
1,000.
That is 10.
How many books do I need to sell to get a million?
Instead of how much profit do I earn per book?
So that's where we have had challenges with how people are looking at how to grow their businesses. Now, the point that comes in there, like how you've said, you have made some money. Now, the biggest challenge I normally find is that if you've made some money, you've made maybe $1 million, you don't know this money comes to your drawer or to your bank account or to your where you keep it. Now, when it comes to spending, you spend more than what you have on that percentage. Now, there are people, because when we come to our businesses, there maybe you have a loan, maybe you have initial capital, maybe you have borrowed money from your friends, maybe you have credit sales. Now, when you make profit, you do not look at the total sum. Look at how much is your money.
Is your real money.
Above all the money that you have.
Yeah.
That's why they say that let me change it to our local language. Nti bagamba nti ba entrepreneurs ba makanchi tebavaako kasente. For them, they are stingy men. Yes, at some point there was a lady who was telling me that I cannot date a businessman because every time atunulira nti zono ze nkuteekamu. So that's the question that we normally have because for them they are looking at how do they grow the numbers.
Exactly. So now a person starting the money, try to make sure that you utilize your money, find what I have to pay back with interest, and so the money remaining is what is my profit. Instead of spending that profit, still you invest it again in your business.
Antikati, there is a point which I want us to understand. When you have the money, put it into terms of percentages. For instance, if I've made profit of 30% on my total sales of the day, now how much do I have to spend on the 30%? How much should I bring back to the business? That's where the biggest problem comes. Then the other point you've asked me, how to grow the business, is also learning how to use other people's money.
Wow.
Which I call the OPDM, other people's money. OPM, using other people's money. When you go to, there are so many areas where we can get money. I don't know whether you know some of these.
Very many banks. We have money
institutions.
We have institutions like IG, like Karom, and where you can
where you can learn and get
Money.
Now, when we look at this point of understanding is how do you use other people's money? The first point of growth is that using other people's money, it takes a certain understanding that one, you need to be honest.
Of course. To pay back.
Yes, you need to be honest to your side before there are people who want to prove that they are honest when they are borrowing.
But when they are paying, they are dishonest.
Huh? So the first point, because you're looking at being honest to yourself, that if my business is doing this, is performing this way, if I get a loan, how do what am I going to invest in this particular business?
Yeah.
What am I going to use in this very business? And when you learn this, you really find that, because when we come to when you look at that, because there are two ways. One is using other people's money, and another one is using your personal money. Which is the hardest?
Sometimes you don't have that money. You don't have your personal money. So other people's money becomes the ultimate solution. Kakati, very many youth would want so much to use other people's money to put in those banks. But remember, there are circles, there are government programs that have come up where you can run and pick money, even if you don't have a collateral security, people. So that means that we don't grow businesses using other people's money. People have the fear to borrow. People have the fear. I think the greatest thing we need to drive out of people is the fear of borrowing. Maybe we can talk about that some other time.
You see, the biggest question why they have the fear is because they are not being honest.
So if you're dishonest, of course you think, how will I pay?
You see, the first principle of understanding how to grow the business is also being honest to yourself. You know, I was reading one of the books of Ham. He was trying to say,
Success based on reality.
Success based on reality.
Okay.
You who's doing it, who's going to be in business, you are not being honest to yourself. You well know that the sales are below this percentage.
And
but you are trying to convince a loans officer how sales are above this percentage. Now, when they give you a loan, it is not going to relate with what you talked about.
Exactly.
Actually, borrowing.
Just because you want the money.
Actually, you see, when I tell, there was a time when I was trying to explain to a client, especially when he wanted to borrow. I normally guide people when they are like applying for loans, or they have financial problems, like how do I get out of this big debt and all that. Now, there was a discussion. I said, whenever we are taking a loan, it's like when we've gone to a hospital, and you feel the pain everywhere. Like you feel you are paining everywhere, and you feel like
You're
if
sick.
the doctors would inject you in every part where you are feeling the pain. But
okay
surprisingly, when the doctor comes to you, he just finds one injection and says, "This is all that you need."
And you get fine.
Now, when you go to borrow, that's why you go to the bank and they say, "No, you wanted 10 million." But from what we've seen, 5 million is enough. They are looking at giving you a treatment that is in a relationship with your sickness.
All right. Do we have any other point of growth in business? We can talk about borrowing and lending and very many things later on the show, because that is a very different topic and it's so wide. So any other point in growth? So we have seen a growth in a business. One, you should have skills of selling. Then you should have ngatotia kwewola, literally. That is the thing. So when you kwewola, use people's money properly, you pay back. And yeah, I think that is where borrowing beats saving so much. That is another topic. And
there is something I cannot miss.
Okay.
Two things
of your business.
How you are going to be in business. One, we have different strategies. How do I get into the market? How do I get the customers?
Yeah.
How do I drive traffic? How do I get numbers? How do I get my product moving? How do I get my product reach the people?
Yeah.
So you need to learn the strategy. And this is what I normally guide when it comes to different
strategies
groups
of business.
And it is a smart strategy, makes you to have smart results.
All right.